Hey. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D, McKinney, and we are back. We're back for good this time. But it's been a lot of stuff going on. We got to get into a lot of political talk and a lot of political news, even catching ourselves up from post election and all that good stuff. I've been coming in and out. Just to kind of, I'm always kind of trying to fight the algorithm of YouTube and Rumble and all that stuff like that. And it's not easy, guys. You gotta give every inch of your time to it in order to conquer it. But we're gonna do that. We're gonna be honing our mindset big time, so the reason why I call this episode honing mindset leading into 2025 is because you guys may not need honing or focusing or setting a discipline and everything like that but I just want to to your mindset, but I just want to talk about like what every human being goes through and the process it takes to take on your endeavors and accomplish the goals that you're seeking out and everything like that. And what's the difference between us and the rich and the successful, the highly successful and the elites, of our society, and what keeps us separate, And Individual Perspective Podcast is a podcast where we cannot bullcrap anybody. We're supposed to kind of be honest and open and self-reflecting as much as we how can I say give opinions or reactions to the exterior, the world, or what's going on in society and news and pop culture and civilization, evolution, and everything like that. Individual Perspective Podcast kind of touts and we kind of advocate. We advocate, well, I advocate, an objective analysis on it, a purely objective analysis on it, and how can you truly have integrity and principle and a good, honest record of it if you don't give an objectivity analysis of your own self. You know what I mean? So that's what these mindset inventory episode's gonna be about as we lead into 2025. And so the first one I want to talk about today is pretty much I'm kind of inventory my mindset, and hopefully we have some relativeness to what's going on in your mindset and how you're thinking about things right now and what you're kind of focusing your mind to. How can I say? For me, I'm a filmmaker, and obviously I took a lot of the last 20 something years of my life to kind of go out there, take on projects, see how I can improve, see how I can kind of focus it to kind of make sure that even though if I'm not funded like hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars on a project or something like that, or ad or anything like that, how can I utilize modern technology, modern software, modern cameras, modern abilities to get pretty much what the industry spent millions of dollars on in the last 30, 40 years. Okay? Because I think that's I think that's the actual thing that we need to kind of get a little freeze on my computer. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see what's going on here. Are they denying me? Are they denying me? Yes. This is what I be talking about with a lot of the things that goes on with the internet and everything. Hold 1 second, guys. I'm having a little buggy issue here. Let me see what's going on. 1 second. Okay, let's see if that caught me back up. Okay, looks like that worked. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I'm not even gonna go through the technical issues of that, but it's so funny. And like YouTube and streaming is funny. It's so many points between me and you that stops the flow of great communication. Okay, but I kind of it's let me sip on my coffee. Okay, let's get down to business. Let me center myself. Sorry about that. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of technical things. But this is all a part of mindset inventory. You know what I'm saying? You gotta see what's kind of giving you a buggy situation and go in and improve. Even when I'm making my graphics and my banners and stuff like that. I even want to add my Vimeo to the actual top panel and stuff like that. But all the links is in the description, guys. If you guys want to support, like I said, I'm a startup, and if you want to see the body of what I really do and how I really kind of been tackling podcasts, you can always go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts mostly, and SoundCloud, and you're gonna see a podcast called Individual Perspective that goes back to where I did some episodes in 2015, 2016, 2017, and trust me, I got hundreds of hours of this stuff, and I'm gonna post all those episodes here because they're not even all up all over the place, but it's hundreds of hours, and I want you guys to know that I'm not just coming on to the podcast world in 2020 at the end of 2024 or something like that. No, I've been doing this for years. You get what I'm saying? Literally years. Effective of January 5th. I'm sorry, January 1st. I'll be going into podcasting for probably about 15 years or so. So I kind of was doing it in 2008, 2009 area, and I will post them to my website. But at the same time, the real like detailed podcasting and stuff like that, I did that in 2016, 2015, 2016, 2017 to cover the Donald Trump first presidency. And then I did the 2020 pandemic podcasting, and I did that with a partner of mine. He's a brother. He's like a brother to me. His name is Khalil Biddle. He passed, but we did a podcast. It was very detailed, very Nostradamus type of predictions and everything. And that's called Life Choice Health and Wealth, and you can go see it on SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts is on there, and Spotify and all that stuff like that. But me coming in heavy to doing video and audio podcasting, you could go look at Rumble, Individual Perspective on Rumble. You'll see hundreds of hours there, and additional some of the stuff I've been doing in YouTube. And I'm trying to gain the audience and trying to see how the structure of even getting views work, because I don't even think they push you into the algorithm. I think you got to do a lot to get pushed into the algorithm. So to even be that your thread will even pop up as an option. So and that's what I'll be working on very heavily for the next even 5 to 10 days and stuff, and going into January and everything like that. So um, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a background that I'm not just doing this and I don't really have a voice to it. I was doing it long before your favorite podcasters were, but at the same time, I gotta gain my audience and I gotta build an audience. So if you guys can like, follow, share, um, and we can get this on the road. We got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna be doing videos all through today, tomorrow, pretty much all through the week because we got a lot to get up on before we hit January 1st. But like I said, I want to talk about honing mindset. Honing my mindset and what I'm doing to even do that for myself. And then hopefully this thought process of this mindset, you know, gives you affirmation that you already are going down the right path, or that you may go into my comments and communicate your mindset, and that might help me with my mindset. But I truly think that that one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 6 years, and the reason why I'm saying 6 years, I don't anything previous than that is really it was good and it was great and it built me and made me who I am today. But it was almost, I kind of lived the life very much before the 6 years. I say I kind of lived the life where I kind of was part of society, where I worked a job, I did whatever it took to not fall behind in bills, be able to kind of live my life and pay my rent and pay my mortgage and pay my, like car bill, purchasing, pay, just this, look, just paying bills, okay? And then, going out and treating people and having a good time with friends and family and stuff like that, and being a person that people can always come to if they needed help and everything like that. And 6 years ago, I kind of felt I didn't like it. Not helping people and all that stuff. It's that I felt like, would I focus myself to be to the exterior, what I truly desired and what my true passions were and what I really was skilled at, I wasn't going to go out there and do that, because it was, in order to be successful in the entertainment world, it's all a pipe dream in pretty much the way that your community talks about it, or like your family, friends talk about it. So, if you ever get in a situation where you're able to kind of have a job and make some good money, just keep that job, just keep it and just find your way through it, and, retire from it and all that stuff like that. That was the mindset. So I feel that one of the most important things was for me to like do that, be a provider and be a good person of society, and kind of make sure I'm perceived as a um stable black man. You know what I mean? But after doing it for so many years and decades and stuff, I kind of felt like, you know what I'm kind of having one foot in and one foot out. And what I mean by one foot in is I'm a filmmaker, so I will always kind of do filmmaking and purchase equipment and learn software and certify myself in software and advancement of, no matter where the industry went, I was right there with it, so I would know how to take on the accomplishments of um, the film industry and I wouldn't be left behind. So no matter what I was doing, even when I was working my job and doing everything it took to just be a good person of society, I was always keeping on the edge, the fronting edge of filmmaking, so I wouldn't be left behind. So I will always be using the latest cameras. I will always be using the latest technology, using the latest software and everything like that, just to be ahead of everything and have the ability to do the work or teach the work or assist the biggest scenario. So I sit here now because I was like that and I never left that behind. And then when I decided, you know what, 6 years ago, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do nothing but film now. I felt like it'd be terrible to die at 60 years old or 70 years old if you're lucky in this time and age. All this processed food and everything is you'll be lucky to last 70 years, but it would be terrible that you didn't take one of those decades, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. One of the decades of your years of life, and you just didn't give everything you got to what you're really skillful to and what your real abilities are and where your full IQ can be utilized. It would be really pathetic for a human being. I'm talking about any one of us. I don't care how poor you are or rich you are, to not take a decade and show your value, show your absolute value. So mine's was 6 years ago. I started 6 years ago. So I technically didn't want to do a film until about 2023 because I kind of felt I don't like Detroit. I don't like Michigan as doing business with my own people. I just felt like it was just really, everybody has a perception of doing a certain business, but do they do it like the industry of that business say? So let's say like real estate, black people doing real estate. And I'm just saying, look, I know this is a hardcore situation and the things I'm saying, but I got to take you into the mindset and let you understand that it's truthful and it's honest and it's a real mindset, okay? And it has very concrete psychosis behind it. So when black people do real estate, they do good real estate, but they almost do it in a way that's not structured for success anywhere. So a lot of black real estate moguls, that's good in their community, and when they're kind of playing a factor to like selling up mobility to their own kind. You get what I'm saying? And people like that. And I'm not saying all black real estate people. A lot of black real estate people are they're making money, and even in the most high society situations. But could you put them in a very competitive environment, and that they would actually beat out like a lot of other cultures and races and everything like that. And the reason why I'm using this as an example, maybe I should just keep it to my film stuff and everything like that. But what I want to say is, when real estate people kind of go into the actual real estate, black people, when they go into the real estate market, they bring a lot of their errors with them, unless, like I said, there's an anomaly that grew up in the suburbs, that grew up around like Ivy League white kids and Asian kids, and Hispanic kids and Arabic kids and stuff. So it's a high society mindset, and they don't really have a break from it. They always been dealing with and talking and communicating with white people and different races and stuff like that. So when they went to college, that's what they did. They went to a different, like a multiracial culture college, and then when they came out of college and they started doing the service of real estate or business building and all that stuff, it was kind of around everybody they always been around, white, black, no matter what race you were. There's a lot of black people like that they're very universal. Because that's what they grew up around. That's what their communication level is they can communicate to all different races because that's how they always live their life. And when they do business, it's in the mindset of doing the business. So when they're doing the business, it's not like a black person doing the business. It's not like a FBA doing the business or some black sorority girl doing the business or sorority man doing the business or not frat a frat house guy or you know what I'm talking about, doing the business. It's just like that person doing the business, and they don't have to change up. They don't have to adjust themselves to a certain who's in front of them, and if it's a white person or it's a black person or it's an Asian person, they just kind of do the business and keep the acumen of the business. So black people, 90% of the time, we're not like that. We carry our culture drama. We carry our idealism of the situation, who we're in front of. We go into interactions in business and the mindset of how it should be under this persona. You know what I'm saying? And that stops the rules of the business. You know what I'm saying? So what I mean by that, I always say the HUD house approach. And that means that don't do any business unless you got a mindset of a HUD house approach, meaning to flip a HUD house, meaning that you, the person that wants to endeavor to flip the house, you are willing to risk like let's say a HUD house costs about $15,000 to $30,000 to purchase. It's just a house that's beat up and is gutted and is in the inner city, or it's just a bad framing and everything like that. You got to do some major work. You take on you purchase that HUD house, $15,000-$30,000. You put another $70,000 in to renovate it, and then you put it back into the market for $140,000, meaning that you put $100,000 into the house in order to make a $40,000 profit. Okay, that's the HUD house approach, meaning that you're the risk into the reward. Okay, so you're doing that for about a year, probably. I'm thinking it's like to flip a house, purchase the house and flip it and then sell it. You're about a year and a half of that endeavor. You get what I'm saying? Or at least about a year or so in that endeavor. Some people, you could do it fast enough if you're constantly doing it. But let's say I don't want to talk about a firm or a real estate company that's been doing it so many times that they expand their crews and all that stuff. Let's talk about just the basic person that's having a little extra funds to flip. If they're doing it, it's going to take them about a year to a year and a half to make that whole endeavor. You get what I'm saying? And if they're lucky, maybe they could do it in about 9 months, 8 to 9 months or something like that. 6 to 9 months, put it that way. Let's keep it fair. So the HUD house approach is you're all the risk. So that means is nobody going to put up $100,000 to flip a house if you need that $100,000. If you need that $100,000, you're not going to do that. It's too much risk to your own livelihood. You can't pay your bills right. You can't pay your rent right. You can't pay your mortgage right. You can't live your life right, or at least somewhat humanely. You know what I mean? If everything you got is that 100,000 and you're about to put it into it. Now, some black people, they would do that. They would think, I want to grow. I want to be a big boss. I want to be a boss. I only got 100,000. I'm going to put it into this house. But if you can't live off whatever else, other exterior funding that you're making, and let that 100,000 work, don't worry about time. Don't worry about the situation. Just let it work for you. Let the process work out. Let the purchasing, the flipping, the renovation, the process of decision making of the paint and the carpet and the tile, or what to make the trendiness, the switches, to think and make the right decision that you can make for the best outcome for this, the financial outcome for this house. When you're doing this flip, you got to allow yourself the process to lead, or even just everything that happens with the purchasing and the flipping and the renovation and everything like that and selling. You got to allow that process to work out. And you can't, if you need that money, you know what I mean? You got to let it work for you. So some people, that's all they got to go into purchasing a house, to flip it, to give them an extra 40 grand. And I'm doing this hypothetically. Obviously, if you do that if you flip a house like that, you're gonna get about, the average I think is 180 to a possible, I'll say $250,000. You know what I mean? If you're flipping something that's worth 350,000, then obviously you put about 180, $200,000 on the body of the house, and you're putting about another 150 into the renovation or something like that. So it all depends. I'm just talking about the basic average human being, what they would come into counter with if they ever try to flip a house. And it would be that you need to make sure that you got about $100,000 liquid to play in that world. So in that situation, you cannot be needing to survive with that 100,000. Now, 100,000, if you had it in cash, you probably wouldn't be utilizing it for another 2 to 3 years or something like that, or during your retirement or something like that, or something that may come up that you decide that you want to spend that money on or something like that. So that's where it needs to be. It doesn't need to be part of your livelihood and your everyday living and vacation and all that stuff like that. You got to be able to do that without using that $100,000. And most black people, that's all they got. You get what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that in a second, because that's the mindset, that this HUD house approach that I'm telling you about. So as you flip that and you make the $140,000, the $40,000 is the way all real estate, I'm talking about capital billionaire firms, they use that mindset. They don't, it's not, you're not supposed to be risk avert to that $100,000. You know, you're supposed to be just throw it in there and let it work. And black people, they kind of, some black people, majority black people, not the anomalies, but the majority black people, it's very hard for them to take a risk like that, you know? So I say the capitalist industry, in the growth industry, thrives off of people with well-to-do or excess funding or funds to take a risk on an endeavor, on a flipping endeavor, okay? So, in my world, I always want everybody to come in with a real estate, a HUD house approach. Be willing to risk $100,000 to get a movie, okay? In a good movie, a good presentation under that kind of thing. The average movie, or let's say, I'm talking about the average professional 30 minutes of production will cost about $400 to $1.5 million. That's the average. That's me. You could pretty much do a lot of casting and even going into the pool of stars that got name and everything. If you're willing to play in the $400 to $1.5 million area, and you could pretty much get a lot of movies made. So the average movie is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that would mean that you would need to have about, let's say, $1 to $6 million to do a movie, a real professional movie. So that, and then you could pretty much get a lot of pickings of some very well-known actors, good production crew, locations, and everything like that. But you got to have that range. And me, locally, and a lot of independent people, and if you watch Tubi, you can see a bunch of people trying to be filmmakers out there, and they're making good money because the Black community, they support crap. You get what I'm saying? They really do. And I'm grateful for it. You get what I'm saying? Not that I'm going to be giving you crap, but I'm grateful to know that it's well consumed in the Black community. Really terrible acting, terrible directing, may have great cameras, may have good locations, but it's terrible execution on the presentation. And in that situation, it is adjustable. They don't care. The Black community and the what they call, I think Tubi calls it, label it as like Black film, Black cinema, something like that. And in that situation, it is well consumed by our community. So I'm grateful for that, because it lets me know that if the worst stuff has a market, if you're really trying to compete, then you got a market. You get what I'm saying? So I'll wrap this up quickly, but I wanted to talk about that, that when I seek out executive producers and investors and stuff, I want them to at least have that HUD House approach, have that mindset that whatever I'm bringing to you, you need to have the backbone of $100,000 to get me through the process. Otherwise, life and circumstances is integrated into the process. You get what I'm saying? And I always say to people when they say, "Well, there's a lot of people in the city that released a movie in 4 months and put it on Tubi and all that stuff," but look at it. It looked like you did 4 months. It looked like you did a 5-day shoot, a 10-day shoot. It looks like it. You know what I mean? And I'm not making movies for like me to do 10 movies and 20, 30 movies, but they all look so terrible and so bad that a LA film student is killing you and destroying you. I've seen filmmakers in the industry do movies with iPhones that look better than 99% of all inner city films that came out over the last decade. I'm talking about this year, going back a decade. It like the movies that they made with iPhones destroy what they done. Why is that? It's because that mindset, that Tubi mindset. You get what I'm saying? And Tubi is a high industry situation. That's Disney. So you're alongside 24. You're alongside X-Files. You're alongside Chef Ramsay. You get what I'm saying? You're alongside some very professional movies and high quality stuff. But they open the platform to aspiring filmmakers. You know what I'm saying? And then what did we do? We put a lot of stuff on Tubi that showed that we're just aspiring filmmakers. We're not filmmakers. So for me, I'm a filmmaker. I know everything that Disney's doing. I know everything that Star Wars is doing. I know everything that Avatar is doing. I know everything that Michael Bay is doing. I know everything that Antoine Fuqua is doing, Spike Lee doing, Quentin Tarantino doing. I know every single settings that they're doing. I know their lighting structure. I know every editing tool or editing tricks and all that stuff that they're doing. I kind of know all that stuff. I'm very trained in that. So for me, why are we not putting that in our films? That's what I'm saying. So for me, I say first we got to get what we're doing in check. And we got to put that in a more solid foundation. And the best way to put it in a solid foundation is to make sure that we start with a HUD house approach, because that's got to be the safety net for us. If we're going out to do a $10,000 movie or a $15,000 movie or a $20,000 movie or a $30,000 movie or a $50,000 movie, you got to have when intensity of like creativity, and you say, oh man, you know what, we're spending $1,000 for this location, but if we had this location, we'll really execute on the visuals of it. So you may have to put another $1,000 in or another $2,000 in, making the location about $3,000 to pay for it to execute on exactly what the industry would have did. So if you don't have the HUD house approach, you're limiting the execution of the endeavor of making a good film. So at least have the HUD house approach when you go into this stuff. And for me, I went into the movies, man, wrote a movie, good plot, good idea, good out of the box idea, and then I'll go into it, and obviously it needs like a good $30,000-$50,000 to do, and all I would get is $2,000. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? And all I would get is $6,000, but I would get $6,000 over 3 years. You know what I'm saying? All I would get is $15,000 when I turned in a budget for $84,000. So how did I execute on a movie that's $84,000? But I'm only getting $15,000 in. You know what I'm saying? That you're welcoming failure when you do that. So I bring this up because a lot of my endeavors, a lot of the things that I seeked out to do, only reason why they exist to this day is because I fought to keep it and fought to actually fight for it. You know what I mean? So when the budget falls apart, when there's not enough money, I find a way to get more money, figure it out financially, even for myself, and just try to, I'll financially destroy my lifestyle and my condition in order to execute on a movie. And that's how I got a lot of the stuff that I got done. But I'm still keeping pretty much a lot of the industry consciousness and presentation to what I'm doing. And I decided to take the last 6 years and accumulate multiple films because nothing's really changing that much. You know what I mean? Clothing is not so extreme difference. Phones don't look so extremely different. You know what I mean? And like automobiles pretty much look the same in the last 6 years. You know, and I made them all. I've even made them up to this year. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm talking about films I've done 6 years ago. I'm talking about movies that I've done about maybe in the last, I'll say, multiple movies every single year leading up to, I'll say, from 2020 to 2025. You get what I'm saying? But the way that I film them and the way that I present them is very modern. It's very, everything that you're seeing on TV now is not, you're not seeing any difference of that stuff. That's why I thought it was the right time. We live in the right time. Is you're not having a detrimental change. You know what I'm saying? it's the right time to do a lot of content and accumulate a lot of content. A lot of the films that we enjoyed that just came out this year, they was worked on for like 2 to 3 years, and they're big industry movies and stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, people don't know the average movie that you're watching at the box office took about 2 to 3 years to do. Okay, so that means movies like Joker, movies like Mohana, animation movie, Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know why I'm not thinking about this. Even Lioness with Yellowstone, a lot of stuff. You get what I'm saying? Trying to think about recent movies and stuff like that. It's a movie that just came out. I think it's called Piano Lesson or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a movie that Denzel Washington and his sons they brought out. That took about a couple years to get done and made and stuff. We're talking about writing to giving it to you guys to view. It took about 2 to 3 years to make. Okay, so when you know that that's a multi-million-dollar movie, and I think I've accomplished about 5 to 7 films that are mine, and about another 3 movies that I've done working with other people that's already on Tubi and is already out there. So in 6 years, I was able to pull off really 10 presentations that my name is all over, and I had a really good position in getting that movie out. Okay, so and so the reason why I say this is because in that endeavor, I always say, if you don't have the money, you better have the time. If you don't have the time, you better have the money. Because if you don't have the time, you better have a hell of a funding for a big staff to execute on everything you need to execute in a safety, secure environment. That's what money pays for. And if you don't have the money to do that, then you need to go dot your I's, cross your T's, and check off professional things that a multi-million-dollar project would do. Even you have to really do it now. You don't do less because you got less money. No, it means in order to present it the way that the industry presents a movie, and the human eye enjoys it and likes the sound and the visuals of it, or at least consumes it as something ingestible, you at least need to check all the boxes that the industry would check, because you really got to check them because you didn't have the money to have staff to check. So you really got to do the work of the industry, and presentation tells you when you did it right or not. You get what I'm saying? It'll tell you if you did it right or not. So in the way I do things, I feel that I really need to make it as people clicking on a thumbnail on Netflix, people clicking on the thumbnails on Max, people clicking on the thumbnail in Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Hulu and Prime and Vimeo, not Vimeo, I'm sorry, Freevee or Pluto, and they really feel like they're watching industry content. You can't make them come so much out of it and say, "Oh, this is like my cousin Pookie was in this movie," or "My cousin Pookie made this movie." You can't make the human eye do that or the viewer do that, and for me, that's the most important thing for me with my content. So it took me some years to really put the movies and to not do something that would destroy all the hard work that was done because I got a cheap effect or a cheap looking situation that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. I got to do hundreds of thousands of dollars of that work. So I'm trying not to tell you guys about what the stuff is until I release it out and everything. And everything's going to be released out in the first quarter of this year of 2025. So, the HUD House approach is the first kind of conversation that I want to have about honing your mindset leading into 2025 and mindset inventory of what our thoughts need to be and how we need to execute on not conceptually thinking of something, but executing on what we're thinking of. And I really truly feel that's a good mindset to have. And for me, don't take for granted the hard work that you put in something. Most people are never going to understand it. They don't want to understand it. They want self-gratification, and they want gratification right now. You know, they want momentary things right now, and they want you to put something very big on the moment accomplishment, or the moment gratification. But really, you should think of the bigger picture. You should think of long term. You should think of existence. Because once you put a movie out there, it's out there, and you might fall dead. You know, so there's something out there, really quality, that you don't really need to touch it again and let it live. Because to this day, the industry is funding and upkeeping the investment in the viewership of Goonies, a movie that was made in the early 80s, Star Wars, all that stuff. They're still kind of like getting eyeballs to watch 1980s movies, 1970s movies, 1990s movies. They doing that. So why should I release my films thinking that I just want my city to watch it? You know what I mean? It's not worth it for me. So this is a mindset that I just wanted to kind of have, well, at least this first part of this mindset. I'm going to be doing this all the way up to the New Year's. Just kind of doing a mindset inventory check on myself and having a conversation with you guys about what I'm doing to hone my mindset leading into 2025. Okay. So, coming in, saying hello to you guys. I know I've been away for a little bit, a few weeks or so. And it's because I've been editing. I've been doing a lot of work. I've been trying to figure out a lot of financial stuff and everything like that. So if you guys can support us, support what we're doing here, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. And hit that Cash App, that PayPal. We have all the links at the descriptions at the bottom. And I'll see you on the next one. Check you out. Because we're going to come back. We're absolutely come back. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a bunch of these today, tomorrow. And we're absolutely going to cover some post-election news, because we did a lot of coverage of that. So, but please make sure you go to Rumble too. Watch some of the really great podcasts out there. There's a lot of them on YouTube, but there's a lot in Rumble. So make sure that you guys check that on out. And I'll see you on the next episode.